If you are like pretty much every single human being on earth, you will find that your body measurements fall between 2, 3, 4 different pattern sizes. And so in this video, let's talk about how you can best choose the sewing pattern size to use when you are in between sizes, because we all are. Welcome back, my lovely sewing friends. It is lovely as always to see you again. Those of you that are following along in all my videos know that we have been on a big sort of how to use sewing patterns and pick the right size kind of kick, I guess. And because it's one of the hardest things to learn how to do is to get the right size and learn the lingo and how do you even use these things. So I've recently made a few videos, and one of the biggest questions that come up was how do you pick the right sewing pattern size when you're in between sizes? So when you look on the back of the pattern envelope, you find that your bust, waist and hip measurements fall over 2, 3, sort of several different size ranges, and you need to know which pattern size to actually cut from the envelope. That's what we're looking at. And so there is a general rule in that it is said that you go with the bust measurement because the rest of the pattern, that's the hardest thing to alter, and the rest of the pattern is a bit easier. That is true, but I want to really unpack that and kind of talk you through why and go deeper on this subject. And the other sort of rule of thumb is that you go with the biggest measurement and, take down from there or just fit from there. But often there's much more that we can look at this, and there's far better ways that you can assess to get a much better starting size, at least on your patterns, so that you get a better result. Okay, first thing you need to look at and consider is your skill level. So are you very beginner and you're just looking at making the one standard stock size as it is straight out of the packet? So you're just picking your closest standard size. And I definitely recommend that for very beginners. If it's your first few garments, that's all you want to be doing. So your skill level will determine. If you're a little bit going to the next level and you're really starting to look at fitting and tailoring your garments into adjusting them, you might be combining 2 sizes together, for example, or doing different fit alterations. So depending on which level that you are there will determine on the ways that you look at it from down here. And so I'll be talking about both of those as we go through the next few points. But the first thing you really need to look at is, are you going with that just the one size as is, or will you be making adjustments to it? So look at your skill level. And now the next thing that you want to look at is how much ease is on the design of the pattern, is in the design. Now I have this video here talking about what ease is, and this video on how to find ease on your pattern. So definitely I'm going to link those below. So go watch those if you don't know what I'm talking about. So what do I mean by this? So the ease is kind of like the extra room in the pattern, as we know, and this is for design. So choosing the right style of design can actually help you in your fitting, and it'll make your job easier. And as a beginner, we always want that. And it will tell you how much you can, say, get away with in fitting your different body shape, because you're different sizes, between sizes, into a pattern. Let me give you some examples here. My body shape, I have standard bust. My waist is always smaller and my hips are always bigger than my bust waist. It's usually about 2 sizes bigger than my waist and maybe 1 size bigger than my bust. So my hips are always difficult to fit, and I always need to account for my shape there. Now, this dress I have on my mannequin here, this is my toile and my mock-up. Now, for me, an A-line style or anything with a fuller skirt is going to be preferable and far easier for me to fit. So I look at those types of styles. When I look at this pattern here, for example, I can tell just by looking at this style of dress that there is more ease in this skirt. And so this is really, particularly when you look at the back line drawings, you can see this. And so that you can, of course, find the amount of ease on the pattern, either by what's written on the pattern envelopes, sheets here, or you can measure the pattern yourself, as we talk about in that other video. So definitely watch that if you want to learn more about that. And that's how I can figure out how much ease is on this. And I can see, you can probably see already how much extra room there is on the hips in that particular style. So I know I can go down a size, measure the amount of ease, and I know my hips will fit into that amount of ease that's in that style. So on the flip side, for example, still following my example with a larger hip, on these two patterns here, they kind of look very, similar to start off with. This and this are actually different styles, we'll see on the back. But thinking about how to make this easy for myself and which one will be easier to fit, and looking at what size to choose if I was choosing either of these, to look at the line drawings, we can see this one here. Look how much more A-line this particular style is to this straight pencil skirt. So if I was choosing my sizes between these two, for example, this one I would be able to go down a size that fits my bust, because I will know by measuring the pattern pieces to know the finished garment measurements at the hip. I will be able to determine and know how much I will be able to fit extra room in my hips in this style. Whereas this one, I would need to go with that golden rule of, use the biggest measurement, because that would be my hips, then I would have to tailor it in. So this is where picking a style that suits your body shape is going to make it so much easier for you when you're a beginner to learn about fitting. So you want to go with these sorts of designs that really lean in your favor and help you out. If I was to choose this slimline fit one, it's going to be really difficult for me to actually fit this if I was doing a straight size, and I would really have to look at combining those two sizes together, which is in my skill level, but it wasn't always as a beginner. And that's where really honing in and looking at that can really help you out. And so if I was a beginner choosing this straight style, I would have to go with my biggest measurement. Go with the finished garment measurements, as we always should look at doing to get a better starting size. But if I do know how to make some pattern adjustments, looking at this style, the other golden rule is to look at the easiest parts to alter. Now, this is where the general rule of make the bust fit, because the rest is easier to change and alter, is kind of a general rule and would definitely apply in this case. So usually our bust has more going on and it's more difficult to change and alter, because we have things like bust darts, and it's where all the fitting usually is. There's often necklines involved, shoulder seams, sleeves going on. If you make one change, all the things have to change with it, and there's usually a lot more design features going on at the bust and fitting that we need to account for, and makes it so much more difficult. Whereas usually by the time you get to a waist or hip, just like in this style, you've just got panel seams, and you're usually just adding or subtracting from seam allowances on the edges of the pattern. It's a lot easier to just add and subtract from those and just make sure that it is all uniform all the way around, but we're not going into those types of things in this video today, at least. And so going along with that, choosing styles like these ones here, with fuller skirts like this, so I can fit my bust properly and the skirt doesn't matter. That's always going to be an easier choice for my particular body shape, choosing the right size when I'm in between those sizes. Let's say you have a larger bust. So look at the amount of ease on your pattern the same way. How much design ease is on that pattern. So choosing styles that naturally have more fullness at the bust here, that have sort of got pleats or tucks that add some bagginess, add some looseness. Maybe they have back pleats or yokes, action backs, that naturally have a baggier feel to the top, is going to allow you to fill out that room with your larger bust without having to do any alterations. For example, these two styles here both naturally have so much more design ease in the bust area. And if you were to look at the finished garment measurements, you will find that these, the actual finished garment is way bigger, and you'll get many, many extra inches of bust in this style, so you're able to fit something that fits your hip line better, and a straight skirt, which was probably more your shape. And then it will allow you, without doing any alterations, more room in the bust. And that is when you would look at the design to determine those things. So if you had, say, the pencil skirt, you're going to, again, just have to look at the biggest measurement and go from there if you're going with a straight size. But that is where picking styles like this make your job so much easier. And I know there's some of you with a bit of a larger waist. Let me give you an example. Choosing something like this sort of a style where everything is coming into the waist. You've got darts coming in from the bust, pleats and everything tucking in, and it's so fitted and shaped through the waist. It's probably not the best style choice. It's going to be really hard to alter because you'll have to go with your biggest measurement, and it means all the rest is not going to fit. To keep it easy for yourself, if this is your body shape, something like this kind of a style where it's quite straight through, so it has extra room, all that extra ease in the waistline there, that you can then do your own belt on top of that, and you can fit it to whatever, and you still get that tailored shape, but it's going to be far easier to fit because you can go, say, fit your bust measurement, because there's so much extra ease in that waist style, the design style, in design ease, that you can just belt it in, still get that shape, and you won't have to spend, I was going to say hours and hours, but let's be honest, it'll be days and weeks of coming back to this to try and fit it when it's really hard, and you want to keep it easy for yourself. So let me just recap this to just reiterate our information here. So look at your skill level. Are you going a straight stock size, standard size, or are you next level and you're looking at tailoring and altering, because it will affect what size you can choose when you're in between. Then what you really need to do is to look at the design ease on the pattern. So you either have already chosen one and you need to just look at the finished garment measurements and figure out, will there be enough ease to go in, fit in your extra room in the hips or your extra room in the bust. If you are a standard, if you're going for one size, beginner, very beginner level, then you need to always sort of go with the biggest measurement, but looking at those finished garment measurements and the amount of ease on the pattern. And it is best to choose designs, choose styles that will be easier for you to fit around your body shape. If you are next level and starting to combine two sizes, etc., always look for the easiest part of the garment to fit. It's usually the bust because there is the most amount of design things going on. And look at the easy parts to adjust after that is usually the waist and hips, but that's just a standard rule, of course. Now, there is one super extra tip for all of this, and that is as a beginner, don't stress too much about fitting. It really is one of those things that you do not learn quickly. You do not learn in just a weekend workshop or anything like that and get the hang of it. It is something that takes a lifetime, to be honest. You just keep layering and layering and layering. It's something that you just slowly get better and better at. So just look at it that way and just don't stress about it. Just look at it, look at fitting as a fun adventure that you slowly get better and better, and you'll see your results slowly and slowly. Each garment you make will just get better than the last and will fit better than the last. And you take that information from that one that you learnt and apply it to your next one. And that is what fitting is really. So do check the description box below for all of those links. So let me know below, do you always find that you're in between these two sizes, and how do you go about solving this issue? Hopefully this will give you a new way to look at it. Do leave me a comment below. I love reading them, and it helps all of our other viewers as well with all the wealth of information that is down there. So thank you for always putting those in there. And until next time, my friends, happy sewing. Bye.